Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Facebook Live TV show Views from My Balcony, which airs every week on Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we are filming here in beautiful Santa Monica, California. Now, just a reminder that as a Reiki master teacher over the past 17 years, I have been teaching students from around the world to be Reiki practitioners. Reiki 1, Reiki 2, Reiki 3, and the Master Teacher degrees. Here is a beautiful testimonial from a student. She writes, I have received many Reiki treatments over the years, but never have I experienced one as therapeutic and angelically healing as with Candy. I firmly believe that the angels led me to her. I've now completed Reiki 2 with Candy, which has opened my life to a wonderful new dimension. I can recommend Candy to anyone wishing healing or to become a Reiki practitioner. And that's from Carol in Queensland, Australia. To schedule, book, and prepay your one-on-one teaching session with me, please do phone me at Angel Healing House on 831-277-3716, or you can always contact me through my website, which is angelhealinghouse.com. As we do every week, let's start by taking a look at the astrological landscapes and the different aspects that are affecting all of us. Last week, on July 4th and 5th, we experienced a Capricorn lunar full moon eclipse, and that wraps up the third in a series of eclipses for this summer. They were all building to bring in major change in our lives. And this one in particular heralded in a time of culmination, completion, and it was like a breaking away energy in order for us to break away from the past. This is in order for the new to come in. Now, this eclipse energy has made many of us feel like we were releasing or purging things in our life. But it also felt quite rewarding as we felt like we were finally reaching the end of a very long journey that we've been on. As of yesterday, July 8th, Chiron, often called the wounded healer, went retrograde and joins the list with so many other planets currently in retrograde. When Chiron goes retrograde, the wounds that have been buried deep in our subconscious come to light. It's like a window of opportunity that allows us to fully glance at our soul's past journey. Chiron will be guiding us to find the courage and the strength in any healing that we have recently gone through. And with what has transpired in 2020 through my healing sessions, I've been helping clients heal from so much grief and much trauma. The Posse of Angels is reminding us that this healing process of grief and trauma is exhaustive, and many of us feel just so downright tired and depleted. And although it does take a great deal of strength to address and heal, in the long run, it will bring more resilience and a newfound power to our lives. Now, the Posse of Angels is reminding us that this healing is not only on an individual basis, but it's bringing healing through unconditional love and forgiveness to a very dark, evil, satanic agenda that has enslaved and has kidnapped the planet for thousands of years. If this information is new to you, I can highly recommend two very informative videos to watch on BitChute. That's BITCHUTE platform. And those videos are called Out of Shadows. And there's a 10-part documentary called Fall, F-A-L-L, Cabal, C-A-B-A-L, These may not be available on YouTube, as YouTube in the last couple of months has been taking down a lot of videos. So again, two really highly recommended videos, Out of Shadows and Fall Cabal, Cabal, and those can be found on BitChute, BitChute. Now, the Posse of Angels is also reminding us that Mars, that fiery planet of determination and action, it entered Aries at the end of June, bringing up these warrior spirits inside of us. Then we hear a big hurrah when it gets to the middle of July, because good old Mercury, that planet of communication that has been in retrograde since June 17th and messing with technology and messing with communication, that is going forward on June the 12th, 13th. But as I say often, do remember that those projects that were held back, or those things that we had to review and could not go forward, they don't go forward straight again on the right on the 14th. It takes a while for Mercury to get out of its shadow, so it turns around slowly. So give it 5, 7, 10 days towards the middle of July or the end of July to perhaps see that forward movement in your life. But with Mercury moving forward, we may feel a greater sense of clarity starting to arrive, and some might experience that forward movement in their projects, in their creative pursuits, and that really does excite me. And with Mercury, Mars, and Venus all getting out of retrograde, it should make life for us a whole lot clearer. Then, if we look a bit further, on July 20th, 2020, there's a new moon in Cancer. Actually, it's the second new moon in Cancer for the month, quite unusual. And thank goodness that this one does not come with an eclipse. Hurrah! Finally, on July 22nd, the Sun enters the beautiful sign of Leo. Sun in Leo is such a great transit, and it's very welcomed now, as we've been fire deprived with so many slow moving planets either being in Earth or the water signs. When there is a fire imbalance in our lives, we feel that we've lost our compass. We feel like there's no fuel in the tank, and we lose our drive. With this fiery Leo energy being the fire of spirit, it makes us feel alive again, ready to charge and to get things done. Now, the Posse of Angels wishes to ask us a really important question. And this is a question that many in the spiritual community do not want to look at. But it's a very important one if we're in a physical body, in a physical world, to look at. The Posse of Angels are saying, how do we approach the new world after seeing revelations and disclosures about satanic, Luciferian darkness and ritual abuse with child sacrifices, human trafficking, pedophilia that was being done by many people on the planet. Yes, many in elite and wealthy positions of authority. If you do not know what I'm speaking about, please do go to those two videos, Fall Cabal, and also that one in particular, that 10-part documentary series, will explain how this happened and how it was perpetrated for thousands of years. It is highly disturbing and traumatizing when we find out the involvement of many celebrities, movie stars, sports stars, and talk show hosts that we may have idolized and looked up to. We may never, ever be able to watch their movies, music videos, and TV shows in quite the same way that we did before, because once we are awake and we have seen, we truly can't unsee. Once we awaken to the many people who have been complicit in this dark agenda, and we realize how the governments, the, the politicians, the World Health Organization, the Center for Disease Control have manipulated, not only manipulated us with falsified information, and orphanage and charities and organizations that were supposed to protect children were actually working as child trafficking rings. We feel very uneasy as we realize that in almost every area of our lives and many of our beliefs were built on very shaky ground. Now, the posse of angels wish for us to know that it was ever like this. And as this enslavement has gone on for thousands of years, and Spirit knew that this day would happen, it was meant to happen. And the fact that we are seeing the revelations and disclosures about this Luciferian, dark, satanic agenda means that the world has shifted into higher consciousness to be able to address what was hidden for so long so that we can acknowledge it and transcend it in order to go on to build and create a world of truth, of light, and of love. Please know that it's a great time of healing on our planet and has brought us a great gift of awareness and knowledge. Do remember that knowledge is power, and many are saying that we will be receiving even a new monetary system out of all this for the greatest good of all concerned. Everything will change in our lives. The charities that we used to open up our hearts and give to, and the Hollywood that we used to idolize and glamorize. Know that many are going through no less than the experience of a loved one, a dear loved one, the death of a dear loved one, as we are breaking away from the old third-dimensional dark world and that which we got our identity from, and we now find ourselves between worlds as we are grieving, and perhaps some are longing for a more innocent, naive time when our eyes were not so open. As a result of this, humanity is going through intense societal changes, and this intensity is only going to increase for change to happen in restructuring the systems on planet Earth. With so many revelations exposing the enslavement of the planet, it is actually liberating humanity. With the knowledge exposed about separating people through corruption and manipulation, it's created a new energy field that is bringing in a rebirth of societal connections. The posse of angels is assuring us that all of this social distancing, separation, and isolation has actually worked in the opposite. It's actually worked to bring people closer together. And contrary to what we were shown on the manufactured news media stations, the world is more connected and working for the betterment of humanity, no matter what people's color, race, ethnicity, beliefs, or culture. This new energy is now in alignment with a world that is free to function from a higher state of unity consciousness, which is love, harmony, peace, forgiveness, unity, and acceptance, as many of those lower dimensional energies are no longer in resonance with a conscious, awakened planet. Again, with Mars having moved into Aries on June 27th, where it will remain for the rest of the year, it's causing July's energies to be explosive and to really rock our world. Because of the intensity of July, the posse of angels is calling those of us to bring out our warrior spirit and really help those around us who may have just woken up to the massive betrayal, atrocities, and crimes against humanity that enslaved the planet for so long. In this way, many of us will be called to lift the veil of illusion and separateness, to understand and step into a calling or our soul's role or our mission as we are a part of the building of the golden age of truth. Many of us who have been conscious and awakened for some time have had experience, and we've experienced life challenges with very hard and difficult times in which we were tested and we gained much wisdom. We are now being called upon to use our experience to be an example of a strong, steadfast, courageous, and joyful being to help in the transformation of the world. We are in a time where we're shedding our identities, and as we are embracing new ones, when in actual fact we are becoming all that we divinely are as a reflection of God's source, as we are no longer separated or manipulated to separate from our I am presence. Many of us have actually been working on getting back to our divine eternal natures for years, and some of us decades. Just like many of us are separating our identity from those who were programmed, who we were programmed to look up to, hence this radical separation from the past. The collective is being asked to surrender and release their identity associated with what you knew yourself to be before. Because we were in the third dimensional reality, much of our identity came from our default programming of seeing ourselves through the manipulated lens of the TV, films, the music industry that oversaturated us with violence, gratuitous sex, fear, judgment, criticism, and a lack of self-love and self-worth, and very little, if any, positive, uplifting messages. These messages of fear and lack of self-worth came from our families. They came from our communities, from our religions, those in authority, as well as the beliefs from our ancestral line, hidden deep within our cellular memory. We are being asked to purge all that is not divinely ours, all of the past, including our programming and any cellular baggage that is not in alignment now with us being a reflection of God's source. With all that has occurred with the great awakening of consciousness, of that which was previously repressed and controlled by a very dark, evil agenda, many are realizing that the past may have seemed all right on the surface, but there was so much evil beneath. With this radical severance that many in the collective are feeling as we are breaking away, we're trying valiantly to find something new in ourselves to bring forth that is really uniquely ours. This is what I feel will be much of our focus in July. In last week's program, Views from My Balcony, I spoke about a legacy or something that we wish to leave behind after we cross over. Now the Posse of Angels is hearing some of your thoughts, saying, but what if I don't release the past? What if I choose to stay with what is familiar and comfortable? And the Posse of Angels are saying, well, great. Because of your free will, you can choose whatever you wish. But the consequences of staying with what we did in the past will no longer hold resonance with who we are today. If we do not work on releasing the past in all its forms, then any held fears, judgments, criticisms, will be magnified within us under the intensified higher energies of consciousness. Because there's a great disparity in these old negative emotions and the higher dimensional energies now reigning on the planet, many of those lower energies within will start to show up actually as physical symptoms which affect the body. Once this occurs, these lower emotional energies within will be magnets for difficulties to show up in our physical reality. Because remember, whatever we have within us will show up in the physical. Those who have done the work of releasing the past will feel liberated and free. And the posse of angels is quick to point out that we will still not know where we are going. I mean, even if we release the past, we are still kind of in a void because we're between those two worlds, and I'll mention that in a moment. But we still don't know where we're going because we are currently between the third dimension that we're breaking away from and fifth dimension. But we will unequivocally know who we are. Now, they wish to address, and they mention this, the collective becoming fine with not knowing and that what will happen, or becoming fine with the unknown. In the 3D world, we were either rehashing the past or we were stressing about the future. But having come home to our divine eternal selves and living only in the present moment, 0 point energy, where all creation happens, we don't have to wait for a spiritual payment that we've been waiting for. Instead, having stepped into our glorious majesty of our divine nature, we joyfully and passionately create. Our creative energies will then abundantly magnetize opportunities and connections to create our realities that are a reflection of what is inside of us. Having stepped up in consciousness, seeing the world through a very clear lens, 2020 vision, some would say, and with so much receding from the past, it's important to know that as spirit, physically incarnated in a human form, we still hold certain inalienable rights that were gifted to us by God. The first is we deserve to be who we are and to express ourselves openly and freely without censorship. Secondly, from the moment we were born till we cross over, we are in a co-creative dance with Spirit, and we will be sent signs and messages to guide, support, and help us. If you haven't been sent a sign yet, not now does not mean not ever. It just means it's not the right timing. Thirdly, as abundance is our nature, we are pure potential, and we will be given all that we need, not necessarily what we want, in order to sustain us. And fourthly, we're under God's umbrella, and everything happens in divine timing, not in our timing. To review, if you're comfortable in surrendering to not knowing, as we're not supposed to know what our next step will be, and if you're comfortable in releasing your identity to the past while finding something new to bring forth that is really uniquely yours, then you'll be fine. Otherwise, July could be quite challenging. Now, the posse of angels is saying that if we are strong enough in our beliefs to be who we are and have faith in ourselves and God that we will be divinely led to where we will be going, then we will be fully committed to our new identity. They also spoke about the importance of working with these watery, fluid, Cancer energies to dream, to imagine, to wish, and believe deep in your heart what you wish to be doing in the new world. Dream it. There is no more the quote, I'll see it. I see it, therefore I believe it. For in the fifth dimension energies, it supports the saying, I believe it, therefore I see it. The universe will not give us what we haven't already believed and put our focus and energy towards, because each one of these things is energy, and the universe only responds to energy. The posse of angels is saying that if it is bothering you, not knowing where you're going, you can always take a very big breath in and say, I may not know where I am going, but I have faith and know that I will end up where I am divinely meant to be. Ask your angels and guides for protection and do your best and release anything else. This is faith in action. The posse of angels is asking us to be adaptable, and this will show the universe how much we are willing to surrender and release everything that is no longer in resonance with who we are for us to step into our dreams. So when I went to my beautiful cards to see additional messages, the first card that came out for us is this one, Be the Bridge. And move it over here. Be the Bridge, and it's a number 6 card. And the card is reading, expand your consciousness to behold both worlds. I love this as 6s are quite grounded. They're about balance and harmony and joy. After the trauma and the chaos of the challenges of the last 4 months, which could be the card of number 5, we arrive at 551, which is a 6, which is more balance. This card speaks directly to what the posse of angels and I've spoken about, as many in the conscious collective find themselves between those two worlds at the moment, between the third dimension and the fifth dimension. With the with our past and our future not being revealed quite yet. It also confirms and speaks directly to those who are stepping into their soul's purpose or mission about being masters on planet Earth. Now, this reference to masters means that we've mastered ourselves and are no longer triggered or reactive if as we have aligned to our divine eternal natures and transcended anything into peace, unconditional love, and forgiveness. As we see the third dimensional world explode and implode and crumble with so much chaos and upheaval in order for the dark, evil agenda to be revealed, we may literally feel like strangers in a very strange land, as there is a deep knowing and peacefulness about us amidst the chaos. Having mastered the holding of the divine light within ourselves, we will be led and we will lead by example and be the bridge for the new world of truth, of peace, and also of prosperity. Some would say that we are now the bridge between heaven and earth. Beautiful card. And when I went to my cards, the second one that came out is the number 5, the card of change. That's funny, so we went from a 6 card down to a 5. We're getting closer towards our mission, a progression. And this beautiful one with the sun, be one with the sun, is be the light, is the message. We are not only between worlds at the moment, but we are affected by the extraordinary Sirius gateway. And I spoke about this in my last week's program. Then the spelling of that Sirius is Sirius, which is our connection to our spiritual sun. Many of us, many of us have physically transformed into being the light of divine awareness. And in wherever we step is holy ground. The posse of angels is asking us to remember that this spotlight that we are shining out to the world from within our souls did not come without its challenges, but just like coal that was put under pressure to become diamonds, we now emanate divine love, spiritual intelligence, not just from a book or not learned from a workshop, but from the hardships and adversity of experiences that helped us to become masters of ourselves, to embrace our beauty and creativity, to walk as a representative of the divine on planet Earth. Beautiful message there. The next card that we have out for us and came out, look at that, it's a number 4. The 6, the 5 to the 4. Talk about coming home to ourselves. And the final card is a number 4 card, and that is called the Return, with its message, own your own mastery. With it being a number 4, the 4s are about strong foundation, security, and stability. This confirms what the previous card said about mastering ourselves. With so many of us completing our second mission on planet Earth, about remembering our divine eternal natures and mastering ourselves, now on our return from that journey, we know that the third mission that we will step into is no longer about us, but who will benefit from our trials and that hard journey that we came from. Our trials, our travails, and our triumphs will be our story. Many of us will step forward and help others as we share the lessons that we learned and the blessings that were gifted through that hard journey. And we earned them along the way. Those of us who will go forth will plant seeds through our words and hope to plant them in the minds and the hearts of those who are destined to be changed by our remembered wisdom. The posse of angels is so proud of each and every one of you, and they wish for us to boldly and courageously step forward with our life-affirming messages to alchemically alter all who are blessed and open to be under our sphere of divine influence now. Very powerful messages there. A 6 to a 5 to a 4. Wow, that's a great progression. And when I went to my animal spirit cards, two cards came out. The first card is Moth Spirit, and its message is surrender now. It's an 11 card. An 11 card is a master number. Having mastered ourselves and come home to the divine inside of us, we understand that we are in a co-creative dance with spirit, and that it's important to surrender and release the egoic, controlling aspect of our nature to force things to happen. The greatest things will happen for us if we let go and allow God and the angels to guide and show us how and when to take inspired action. Hard work and dedication are virtuous, but Moth Spirit, well, it's telling us to take a step back, to let go of excessive force and energy, trying to make something happen, only channeling it into one direction. The moth is telling us to consider not only radical acceptance of where we are now, but to bless it. It's calling us to release our need for certainty so that we can relax into a more balanced way of using this moth spirit energy. By releasing our agenda, we allow for divine intervention so that we can enjoy what is and allowing for what might be. Beautiful moth spirit. And most of the time I choose one card, but this card came out and it was stuck to it. And this is Crow Spirit, one of my favorite numbers, 17. With its message, co-create with spirit. It's reminding us that there is a magical energy that pulses throughout the universe, and it's our connection to spirit. The universe works in perfect order, and it responds and it desires what we desire. When we align our thoughts and our emotions, our beliefs with spirit, we are actually allowing ourselves to connect with something which is much larger than our physical selves. Crow Spirit is speaking directly to where many of us now find ourselves after this eclipse season and on the cusp of Mercury moving forward, by sharing with us that we are on target now to see our dreams magically come in to being in our physical worlds. This is because the laws of abundance, the laws of compensation, and praise are operating all in our favor now. Remember to be grateful and to praise what is yours, even if it's still invisible and it's merging into physical form and has not fully arrived yet. The Posse of Angels wish to remind us all that whatever area of our lives that we are concerned with now, that what you hope for is on the way. For Spirit is our co-creative partner. So thank you, Crow Spirit, for coming in. Thank you all for joining me today on Views from My Balcony. A quick reminder that if you are interested or you know somebody interested in studying Reiki with me, I have mentored, guided, and supported my Reiki students for the past almost 20 years. I can't believe it. And I do teach online, and my students have been international, as they are from all over the world. If you're interested, please do call Angel Healing House on 831-277-3716, or you can always contact me through my website, which is angelhealinghouse.com. Also, I am taking bookings for July for intuitive counseling, for angel tarot readings, and Reiki healings, and they are all included in one session. So those 2-hour sessions are very deep and in depth as we look at your life from an angel's perspective. We go into the Akashic records. We see where all your information is held in your book of life, as to see why you drew certain people in your lives, and what were the lessons you hope to learn by going through different events. And then the channeled messages from my angelic family, who I'm part of, which is called, who we're called the Posse of Angels. And then the beautifully angelically driven Reiki healing, which brings the body, especially after all the trauma, chaos, upheaval, and restrictions and grief that we've experienced over the last 4 months. It lifts and it brings that trauma off the body, bringing the body back to peace. Those beautiful Reiki energy healing sessions. It also lifts pain off the body, and also it helps tremendously with emotional and physical unwellness in the body. So again, you can contact me on 831-277-3716, or go to angelhealinghouse.com. And what you'll find at angelhealinghouse.com is you'll find all my beautiful books. Just a reminder, my book, One True Home, Behind the Veil of Forgetfulness. And the sequel is I Am an Angelic Walk-In. The autobiography of Angel Ariel, as I had a walk-in, an angelic walk-in experience on January 11th of 2003. And my beautiful book is Angels of Faith. You can purchase all of those on my website. These two are available on audible.com. So thank you very much for tuning in. Please tune in every week on Views from My Balcony at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursdays for channeled messages from myself and the wonderful posse of angels. Take care, everyone. Bye.